just realized I was muted. That's really funny. Been living life on mute for a long time, I suppose, for the last. uh, it felt like if I'd really open up my mouth and say anything, go live, either it didn't much matter or it would just be this huge scream out into the universe, basically. So it's been a little in and a little out. Today was particularly painful. The Bibas family was laid to rest after many months since they were murdered. Um, Cutting right back through again. My name is Rachel, and amongst other things, I'm also an access consciousness facilitator. I'm also a very proud um, person, Zionist, Jew, daughter of survivors of the Holocaust, fellow human being who sometimes suffers and sometimes laughs and sometimes enjoys and um, attempts to create as many wonderful things as possible on the planet. One of the things that I've often been taught and have heard and have spoken to, especially when lighting Hanukkah candles, is that a little bit of light or a little bit of lightness dispels a lot of darkness. When we begin to light the Hanukkah candles, when it is the darkest time, the shortest days, it's the darkest time in the world, those lights just spread, especially since we usually do them in a public setting or by a window or something like that, so that the light can spread. We don't hold on to light just for us, just for me, just for fun. We actually be a light in the world. And it was interesting. We had a cool Zoom with different certified facilitators of access consciousness earlier today. And one of the things that was spoken about is to really acknowledge the difference that we be in the world. Now, I'll give you an example. When you see people spouting hatred, screaming it on streets and in social media and whatever else, there's a lot of intensity that they are defending for or against, oftentimes avoiding actually being present and knowing. Actually, they remind me a lot of my ex-husband. My ex-husband had this really interesting thing that hair um, had this really interesting thing that took me years to actually recognize. And I'm grateful that I had that experience, painful though it may have been at the time. I was so grateful that he would always accuse me of cheating on him. It was fascinating, actually. For years, he would accuse me of cheating on him. And we dated for 4 years. We're married for 3.5 months. And I was fascinated because it never even crossed my mind to cheat on him. But he accused me of it time and time again. Ever been in a situation like that where people accuse you of something? Well, 3.5 months into marriage, come to find out he was cheating on me. So people will have this tendency, and the first time I ever heard it like spoken about directly, it was Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, saying people will only accuse you of what they themselves are being. So when someone is judging you, when someone is spouting shit about you, when someone is accusing you of stuff, especially when they do so intensely and loudly and, just filled with vitriol and hate, yeah, people will invert stuff because they will accuse you of what they themselves are being. So I encourage you to notice that, whether it's in your family, your relationships, your work, your watching the news or the marches or the protests or the anything else. Be aware of what's true and what may be truth with a lie attached, which might stick your attention on it, and what is just a plain inversion. See, it's really cool. Truth will always make you feel lighter. A lie will always make you feel denser and heavier. So when you recognize that something is a lie, it's easy to see. When something is truth with a lie attached, which we have a lot of when things are inverted, etc., expand that stuff out. Like when you blow up balloons for a birthday party, and you start out with a little balloon, you stretch it, and then blow, 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 and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Whatever isn't true is going to fall away. It's just going to dissipate and disappear. And whatever is the truth will be clear as a bell for you. Truth will always make you feel lighter, and a lie will always make you feel denser and heavier. And so the invitation is to expand so much that it's so clear to see what is the truth and what is a lie, spoken or unspoken. I am not of the variety that's going to scream and yell whichever side. Sometimes I do, but it's very rare. I much prefer to see what's going on and to be an energy that shifts and changes it. Today, we got to see a huge difference in philosophies and in ways of life. One is choosing towards lightness and life, another is choosing towards death and martyrdom and celebration of killing. It pains me tremendously. And this is where I've not been an allowance as much as I could be and maybe ought to be. In the process of reminding myself that people will choose what they choose. And I cannot force or control the world into being what I'd like it to be. I can be more space and then invite it to be more lightness and more ease. And a year and a half ago, after the October 7th massacres, I said in one of the classes of Access how I can perceive the intensity of the vitriol and the hatred and the blame and the scapegoating and the dehumanizing and the double standards and the craziness that I was witnessing coming in the world. And just like Dane reminded me then, there are tools that we can use. One is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Let me see if I find it. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. And nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. There is a fluidity beyond form and structure and significance and everything that we've held dear and true. There is a fluidity. There is a something that's available, a beautiful energy underneath something. Doesn't mean we discount what we see, doesn't mean we avoid or ignore the pain and suffering that we witness, but we look also at the same time for what is the gift here. What is that? How's it called sometimes? The silver lining that the cloud has? Well, everything, when we are not shoving our nose into something, when we just step back a bit, we have more of a bird's eye vision. We can see that there is even a minuscule possibility of something available there. I'll give you an example. My mother is a survivor of Bergen-Belsen. She was taken out. She was probably one of the last 100 people taken out of Bergen-Belsen. She could not walk out on her own feet. She and her mother were carried out on stretchers and taken in the white buses. Count Folke Bernadotte organized white buses to ship the last remaining survivors out of Bergen-Belsen and took them to heal in Sweden. There was a reason I was mentioning that, and that reason disappeared. But I know. One of her uncles, who was also a survivor from a different camp of the Holocaust, came to visit us in Israel. I was born in Israel. I am an Israeli. I am a fucking Zionist, and I love it. Zionism simply means that you believe that the Jewish people have a right to a homeland, and we do. And like it or not, it's where we are and what we got. And anytime anyone accuses anyone of anything, look to see where's the truth, where's the lie, spoken or unspoken. And what my uncle had done when he came to Israel, at that time, he went with my mother to, I think it was the Museum of the Diaspora or something like that in Tel Aviv. And when they came out, they saw a mural of the flames of the Holocaust and then the founding of the state of Israel. And he said, you see, we went through all that pain and suffering. We went through all of that trauma and tragedy in order to finally be able to have a state. And maybe so, and maybe not. There are so many different points of views. Personally, one of the gifts of access consciousness that I've had is that you don't need to have so much suffering and so much um, to have to overcome so many obstacles in order to choose thriving in your life. Look for the gifts in every situation. Look for the lightness in every situation, and be willing to receive life and everything else with ease and joy and glory. That's the mantra of access consciousness that we speak about in most classes, is all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory when you're willing to be that energy in the face of anything and everything that's going on. You be with everything that's going on, being the gift that you are, being that light that dispels the darkness, and you transmute everything that touches you into, from polarity into possibility, from fighting for and against to relaxing into what else is available and possible here. Is still something that there is cognitive dissonance in my world and in many of our worlds. And so I'm asking for all of the cognitive dissonance here and in the world to dissipate. One of the gifts of that is in out of control clearings. And one of the things that I've been doing in a group called the Space of Possibilities, I think today was day number 16. I've been clearing, doing some clearings for being out of control. So in other words, not having to toe the line, actually beginning to create a little bit of nudging, a little bit of space there between a point of view and reaction. In other words, not reacting. I get to have that space where I can choose, have a space of choice, a space of being, a space of possibilities, and recognize that my willingness to be a difference, my willingness to explore a little more lightness, to explore doing something, being something, offering something different, is an invitation to some ripples. So for a year and a half, except for very few times when I would go live here, I was just at a loss for words and a loss for what to say that would be a contribution, would be honoring of what the pain and suffering that I've seen, and also not go down the rabbit hole of only fight or flight. So I began doing these out of control clearings again. I did in 2021, the height of COVID madness. My good friend, Dr. Helen Gitlovich, and I did a bunch of them for, I don't know, I think it was over 3 months that we did those clearings, and really contributed massively to both of our lives at a time when there was a lot of crazy in the world. And then we stopped. And then all sorts of, lives and all sorts of things go on. And yes, we facilitate, and yes, we do different things. But I sort of laid these tools by the wayside, at least the out of control clearings. I've used other tools regularly. Out of control clearings, I sort of let go of for a bit. But since we're willing to be a little light and a little lightness, and willing to acknowledge that us having these tools and using these tools and being these tools does open a different space. How different is this world if we're willing to be a different energy in it? What vibration can we be that then keeps vibrating out and out and out and out and ripples into changes and possibilities in the world that couldn't exist if we weren't willing to dispel some of that darkness? So without making the darkness so important, how much more light and how much more lightness can we be? And yeah, I love that. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, including the darkness. But I'm wondering what else is possible. Consciousness is about asking questions too, and being a different energy if we'd like. So what if we would be willing to be this, rather than fighting the darkness, be this convergence, this play, this willingness to transmute everything that's around us. So without judging it, just being an energy that invites some of it to shift and change. So you are invited to join me in the Space of Possibilities group if you like. I just wonder, what convergence of consciousness and around without having to fight it or pay it so much heed, but know that people will only accuse you of what they themselves are being. It took me so many freaking years to get that. People will only accuse others of what they themselves are being, and they will fight to try to discredit you in every way that they can. So be aware, recognize, and know that you always have another choice, and that you can find out more information if you'd like. You can notice what is light and what isn't, what is a truth with a lie attached, and what else is possible that you've never considered. So what energy and space and consciousness can we be that would shine a light and would allow all lies to come to the forefront, make it so obvious that they are there, and allow them to dissipate with total ease and joy and glory? And what choices could we make today that would create a greater tomorrow? And anything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, creations, bases, and beyonds. That's the clearing statement. If you're not familiar with it, head to theclearingstatement.com. And and that original out of control clearing that I run, I run variations of it in the Space of Possibilities group, but I'll just give you a little taste of it. And the mantra and the crazy phrase, those you already got, right? All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. Todo en la vida viene a nosotros con facilidad, gozo y gloria. כל החיים מגיעים אלינו בקלילות, בשמחה ובגלוry. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. Todo en la vida viene a mí con facilidad, gozo y gloria. כל החיים באים אליי בקלילות, בשמחה ובגלוry. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. That's the mantra. The crazy phrase is, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Todo es lo opuesto de lo que parece ser, y nada es lo opuesto de lo que parece ser. הכל ההפך ממה שנראה, ושום דבר אינו ההפך ממה שנראה. And that just brought me to something. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be, um, is such a gift. We live in a world that looks um, physical, but it isn't so much. It is more energetic. We're actually very, very aware energetically. The energetic conversations, and if we would be congruent with the energetic conversations around us, and we would be congruent with our asks and in the world, we'd be more energetically aligned, and we'd have far more ease in our lives for sure. But it's really fascinating to see how much of our life is spent on fighting the dissonance rather than spreading the lightness and the spaciousness that we could be. And it could be as easy as asking to lower our barriers and to expand and to expand and to expand and to expand and to keep expanding. Because we're not just our physical bodies. We are, like I said, energetic beings. This is not just a physical world. We're in a world of energy. And energy is infinite. It's got no beginning, no end. Transmutes. We're part of oneness. You know, it's we're an element of oneness. We're maybe a where I look like Rachel, who's a woman who has had the background that I've mentioned, but I'm so much more than that as well. I'm an infinite being, and infinite means there's no beginning and no end. So it's really, really interesting when we go beyond thoughts, feelings, emotions, and the things that we've bought as so real and true and created our life from, all of the stories that we've been telling, what else is available beyond them? So I invite you to that space of possibilities group if you like, and even if you don't, this is the basic original out of control from excess. What energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mystery, power, potency, possibilities, and profitability can you and your gorgeous body be to be out of control, out of limitation, out of form, structure, and significance, out of definition, out of linearity, and out of concentricity for all eternity with ease and joy and glory. Anything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, pilvads, creations, bases, and beyonds. So what else is possible when we stop giving ourselves up and we stop allowing ourselves to be the light that dispels a lot of darkness? Because maybe we had a point of view that we didn't make a difference anyway. What if we actually did? Just like in that CF Zoom earlier today. What if we're a greater gift than we've ever realized in everything we do? Whether it is going to a Starbucks and picking up a coffee and smiling at the barista, checking out at the grocery store, walking down the street and smiling at someone, or anything else. When you see the gift in you and you begin to acknowledge the gift in other people as well, what a wonderful world we get to live in. So thank you, and hope to see you somewhere. Ciao.